And good morning. Hey, you're exactly right, Josh. If you disagree, you are totally entitled to your opinion. And if you disagree with something I say, please post your disagreement, your opinion. And I will do my best to read it and try to figure out why it is you disagree with me and why you're wrong. Because we all know the host is never wrong. Yeah, morning, Ramen. I'm glad you weren't on here with me when I just said that. Your reaction to that comment would have been priceless. Anyway. Anyway, besides myself, how many of y'all listened to the Trump Musk interview conversation last night? All right. As you can tell by my thumbnail, I was one of the ones that actually got to listen to it. And at that point that I took that thumbnail, there was like 1.2 million listeners. Well, Raman, supposedly Musk uploaded it somewhere. Yeah, you were listening, doing your stream last night. I was anyway, but I listened to it and just a whole general conversation. It was so nice. It wasn't pumped up like one of his rallies. It wasn't an interrogation like the black journalists group that he went to. It wasn't it was like nothing that we'd had heard before. Very long form. I think it lasted for like 2 hours. It was a very long form conversation, very pleasant conversation. Yeah, there was a lot of the Mutual Admiration Society about it. But Musk and Trump agree, apparently, on so many issues. So if they sit there and agree with each other, yeah, you're going to have mutual admiration about each other. One of the things I thought was one of the things I thought was fun about, or not fun, but interesting, was Trump saying that he knew that he'd been shot. That he actually knew that, when that bullet hit his ear, he actually knew it. And I thought that was interesting. You didn't hear anything new and news making out of it. A lot of this, if you follow Trump, if you follow the well, Josh, being it was an X event set up by Musk, YouTube is not going to promote another platform. So, now like it's like this morning, Josh, you say you don't get notifications. Well, I mean, I even posted something on X about it this morning. I even made something I try to do but don't always do. Anywho, yeah, but one of the things that was they had a DDoS attack. The stream started about 40 minutes late, and there was a DDoS attack. And that's a denial of service, direct denial of service attack. So, we can all guess as to who was behind it. And yes, there is ways that you can avoid having a DDoS attack. You can protect against it. But there's, even would nobody, not even Elon Musk, can think of everything. I doubt if they themselves were behind it, especially Biden. I don't know. I think Biden, if you asked him what cloud computing was, he'd give a weirder answer than what Kamala did when she tried to explain cloud computing. So Biden understanding what a DDoS attack was, good luck. But the headlines this morning regarding it is kind of interesting. Let's see here. I had. Okay. Yeah. Let me share this here. I'm just going to share the various headlines about it. Musk blames DDoS attack for 40-minute delay start. Okay. Elon Musk blames DDoS attack for crashing. Elon Musk interview with Donald Trump was disaster, embarrassing disaster. Trump's Musk interview is latest attempt to shore up white male base. That's just that's just a sampling of what the different left-wing posts left-wing news organizations were putting out. They then the Washington Times. Bullets. Trump recounts assassination attempt and glitch marred Musk interview. Well, of course, when they're talking, I mean, it's been a couple decades since Reagan that a president has been actually shot at. But So, of course, the assassination attempt is going to be asked about, and is going to come up and going to be discussed. That's just the way it is. Former President Trump speaking in a glitch-marred interview with the X platform Monday said assassination attempt was not pleasant, but credited God for saving his life when he turned his face at that perfect angle to look at the chart. It's, of course. It's going to come up. It's going to be discussed. Let's see, what else did I pull up here? Now, prior to the live going on at the press conference, make sure I got the audio turned on. Okay.
Musk is slated to interview Donald Trump tonight on X. I don't know if the president is going to tune in. Feel free to say if he is or not. But I think that misinformation on Twitter is not just a campaign issue. It's a America issue. What role does
misinformation? He's already claiming that anything Trump is going to say here is misinformation. And that, does
the White House or the president have in sort of stopping that, or stopping the spread of that, or sort of intervening in that? Some of that.
I wonder if this gentleman has asked about what role the White House has in intervening and stopping the misinformation coming out of the Kamala Waltz campaign. Like, he retired as a command sergeant major, or that he was under fire in Afghanistan, and that he carried weapons of war, that he was at Bahram Air Base. Now, I wonder if he's questioned that. If the White House should be taking steps to prevent Kamala from spreading misinformation.
That was about campaign misinformation, but it's a wider thing, right?
Yeah, no, and you've heard us talk about this many times from here, about the responsibilities that social media platforms have when it comes to misinformation, disinformation. Don't have anything to read out from here about specific ways that.
Remember, and as much as I, sometimes hate what's being spread, there is such a thing as the First Amendment. And the 230 law, which covers the social media, it allows them to say what they want to say and do what they want to do. That 230, I've talked about it before. It needs to be rewritten. That these companies need to decide to be either a platform or or something else. A platform where everybody can post what they want, and unless it's illegal by law, they can't take it down. Or they're curated and they can be held liable, and they can be held liable for what they allow to be posted. Either they're a platform and they're not held liable, or there's something else where they're held liable. But that is, The way it is done now, platforms can do what they want to do, and it's covered.
We're working on it, but we believe that they have the responsibility. These are private companies, so we're also mindful of that too. But look, it is. I think it is incredibly important to call that out as you're doing. I just don't have any specifics on what we have been doing internally as it relates to the interviews, and that's something that I'm tracking, and I'm sure the president's not tracking it either.
And of course, Harris had to get her little 2 cents weight. Hey, morning, Neil. How's it going? Well, Neil, it's not that it expired. It's just Obama negated it, allowing propaganda to be used in the United States by the federal government. But during the interview, the Harris Waltz campaign released this. Right now, Elon Musk is interviewing Donald Trump live on Twitter. We're not calling it X. It's not enough that Musk has pledged to donate millions of dollars to help re-elect Trump. He's using his purchased platform. Ooh, he bought that specifically to help Trump. One of the largest social media sites in the world to spread Trump's unhinged and hateful agenda to millions of users. If that's all you need to hear, chip in $25 now to help Kamala and Tim have the resources to respond to their lies. Otherwise, let us remind you why this is a big deal. The richest person in the world is a lackey for Team MAGA. Musk has already ruined Twitter by allowing hate speech and disinformation to flood the platform. You really haven't considered the hate speech on the other platforms, have you? The anti-Jewish hate speech, the anti-white hate speech, the anti-male hate speech, the anti-conservative hate speech. You don't consider all that, if the words that have been said against, straight white men or the Jewish population had been said against any other minority, Black, Hispanic, or a woman, or member of the LGBTQ plus who knows what else community, y'all would be looking to have them locked up and thrown in jail. All right, but anyway, now Musk is using his vast fortune and broad reach to try to control our democracy. Remember back when Trump was elected, Google held a meeting saying that they would never allow that to happen again. They actually put that out, allowed that to be sent out into the world. Oh, congratulations, Josh. I hope they get that set up real quick for you. Now, Google dwarfs X, absolutely dwarfs it. And the hate speech that's allowed on the Google platforms, the Alphabet owned platforms. What would be considered hate speech if they were directed against anybody else? As I said, hate, comments or opinions or whatever directed towards whites, straight males, the Jewish population in general. If those comments and opinions were directed against anybody else, it'd be considered hate speech. And they are, this comment here about the richest person in the world. They don't seem to mind that Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, backs them 100%. Nearly every other millionaire in the country supports Kamala, supports the Democratic Party. But and they love that fact. But because Musk, who is truly an African American, let's not forget that. Musk is truly an African American. He was born and raised in South Africa, immigrated legally to the United States and became a United States citizen. So he is truly an African American. But anyway. Yeah, Josh, right. Rich people, Kamala needs more poor people's money. Well, you see, that's all part of that little game they like to play, that most of their donations come in $2, $3, $4, $5, under $100 donations, or under $50 donations. Look at how the poor people of the country support them, because so many of their donations come in these very small amounts. But Act Blue, if y'all haven't, and I'm sure y'all have heard about this issue, Act Blue, if they are not under investigation, should be under investigation. Several, O'Keefe's group, OMG, and other groups have shown where, according to Act Blue's records, 65-year-old widows have donated hundreds of thousands of dollars, many times made up to 30 donations in a single day to Act Blue. And over their past couple of years, have made hundreds of thousands of dollars of donations. So those get considered to be these small donations. But when you go and talk to the people, they say, oh, no, I've never made those kind of donations. So Act Blue, really, if they are not, they should be under FBI investigation. But I doubt if they are, because Act Blue, they support the Democratic Party. That's all they're about. Okay. I managed to actually hit the cough button in time that time. I need to be able to set up something here where I can tap something on the keyboard, or make a hot button on on my mouse that all I got to do tap it and it mutes my mic for me. I don't have to go down and hit the mute button on the screen. I need to do something like that. See if I can set that up. Okay. So the lefties are pretty upset about last night. They didn't like it at all. Oh, okay, Josh. Let's see here. What else do I got up here besides that? I've got a lot of stuff up here. New York has decided that, or rather, a judge in New York has decided that RFK cannot run in New York for the office of the presidency. We'll see what happens to the appeals here. A New York judge ruled Monday that Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s ballot access petition in the state is invalid, delivering the first major blow to the independent presidential candidate's bid for nationwide ballot access. The New York Supreme Court Justice Christina Reba accepted the arguments made by Democratic voters and supported by Clear Choice PAC, a pro-Kamala Harris group seeking to combat third-party candidates, which claimed Kennedy violated state law by listing a New York address as his residence on the petition despite living in California. Ryba, I hope that's how that's pronounced anyway, I don't care, wrote that Kennedy's listed New York address was not a bona fide and legitimate address, but merely a sham address that he assumed for the purpose of maintaining his voter registration and furthering his own political aspirations in this state. The ruling marks the first major legal defeat Kennedy suffered in his quest to qualify, yes. Kennedy's campaign has defeated challenges in several other states, and Kennedy himself maintained confidence he would gain ballot access nationwide as recently as Friday. In the ruling following the decision Monday, Kennedy said he plans to appeal the ruling to a federal court. Well, I hope he does. The Democrats are showing contempt for democracy. They aren't confident they can win at the ballot box, so they'll stop voters from having a choice. We will appeal, we will win. Now, I'm kind of concerned or wondering why New York did this. This judge did this. Because now, if I remember correctly, Kennedy pulls more of his voters from Trump than he does from Kamala, much like Perot pulled from Bush instead of Clinton. The campaign made a strong push to qualify New York, gathering thousands of signatures and holding multiple campaign events in the state. Kennedy testified in person to defend his ballot access last week. So here is where the challenge comes in, and I really can't argue with it too much. The challenge questioned the legitimacy of the Katonah, New York address listed as Kennedy's residence on his ballot petition in the state, despite living in Los Angeles since before running for president. The address was revealed during the trial to be a rented bedroom at the house of Kennedy's friend. Kennedy testified that he does not have a physical attachment to New York address and had only slept in the Katonah bedroom once since renting it. But the candidate says he intends to return to New York when his wife, actress Cheryl Hines, retires from acting. All right, I got to be honest. If you're just renting a bedroom, and you've only spent one night there out of the last 6 months or so, but you've got a house or an apartment or other physical address with multiple rooms and everything else that you've been living in for years, then I don't see where he really has a leg to stand on here. I really don't see it. And, color me ignorant here, but what does having a physical address in New York have to do with being on the ballot? Attorneys for Clear Choice submitted evidence of Kennedy listing his Los Angeles address as his residence regularly in recent years, including on paperwork filed last year with the FEC to run for president. Kennedy testified he repeatedly used addresses from friends and relatives to maintain his voter registration in New York, including listing his sister's upstate residence as his own to vote during the 2016 primary and general election after she sold the home in 2015. When asked why he went to great lengths to maintain voter registration in New York rather than registering in California, Kennedy said, I do not want to change my voter registration in California because I'm a New Yorker. Yeah, I'm sorry here. Robert, you're wrong. I'm sorry, this is wrong. And yeah, I don't care who you are, but this is wrong, period. Republican, Independent, Democrat, you deserve to lose this. You really truly deserve to lose this one. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a Buckeye at heart. I truly am. I am a Buckeye at heart, even though I haven't lived in the state since 1978. I am still truly a Buckeye at heart, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to vote, that I'm going to try to vote in Ohio's elections or anything else. Because that's just, I may be a Buckeye at heart, but I don't live there. I don't have my driver's license. Where's his driver's license? Does he maintain a New York driver's license? Or does he have a California driver's license? Where are his vehicles registered? Are they registered in Ohio or in New York, or are they registered in California? What's he claim on his car insurance? In Florida, they've got it's 3 out of 4 law, I think, before you can, to claim residency or for your tags. It's anyway. I need to look that up because I haven't paid attention to that since '84. Well, Josh, okay, but you see, the problem is now he's claiming to be a New Yorker and live in New York and want to vote in New York, but he doesn't live there. Yeah, he may be a New Yorker at heart, but he doesn't live there. That's not his residence. And saying that he rents a room in his sister's house or he rents a room in a friend's house, but he's only slept there one night out of the past 8 months. But meanwhile, he's spending every other night in a Los Angeles apartment or house. That does matter. And what states his driver's license is in, that matters too, because you can only have the driver's license in the state of your residency. Every state's got laws that if you live there a certain amount of time, you have to get that state's driver's license. Now, there are exceptions, like for the military. I can, when I moved down here, when I got transferred here from Germany, I could maintain my Ohio driver's license if I wanted to, maintain my Ohio residency if I wanted to, but then I would have had to pay out-of-state taxes on my vehicles, and I couldn't register. And I don't remember if I couldn't register any vehicles in the full state, or if I had to pay extra to register them in states. So yeah, the states, have got laws about that stuff. So that's why I'm saying, what state is his driver's license issued in? And if the state of New York, DMV, kept his driver's license in New York, then that's a strong argument on his side. Oh, hey, Sylvia, good morning. And you're exactly right. Or Silvar, I'm sorry. You're right about that too. This residency issue is, California's is the only state I know of that taxes you after you move out. They continue to tax your income after you've left the state for years. I don't know of any other state that does that. I would imagine New York probably considered doing a tax law like that. How many people, millionaires and such, moved out of New York? I mean, that's why Trump, moved everything here to Florida, Mar-a-Lago, to get out of New York's taxes. Yeah, Tyre, you're exactly right. That should be illegal. But they've been getting away with, California gets away with a lot of crap for some reason. Is what I've brought up quite a few times before. You go to drive into the state of California, and you can be stopped at their border and have your car physically inspected. And if you've got something in your car that is banned in the state of California, you can be fined for having it in your vehicle. Yeah, California, they get away with a lot of crap that should be declared unconstitutional. I don't understand why it hasn't been brought up before the Supreme Court. Okay. So Clear Choice is also fighting him in other states, in Maine and in Pennsylvania. If he is bumped off the ballot in those states, it's his own fault. So, all right. Going from RFK, let's go back over to Kamala, and this time Biden. Okay, let me come up here. Biden Harris claimed to support eliminating taxes on tips. Now, this article has got a good zinger to it. Biden said he would sign a bill that eliminated taxes on tipped wages, the White House said on Monday, seeming to agree with the policy first floated by former President Trump. White House Secretary KJP stated the Biden administration's position during a news briefing. Look, this is something the president supports, she said. He supports eliminating taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers while also raising the minimum wage and preventing the wealthy from gaming the system. So you really want to cause more inflation. You really want to send the prices of everything up by raising the minimum wage. Look what's happened in California. All right. Just in their fast food industry. They raised the minimum wage to $20 an hour in fast food industry. And what happened? Businesses either closed down or they fired workers because they could not support the higher minimum wage. They raised the prices on their foods. They fired workers and reduced hours that they were open. Instead of 24 hours, they may only be open 16 hours. That way, instead of having to have 3 shifts of people, they only had 2. And instead of having 10 workers on a shift, they only had 7 or 5 because they couldn't support $20 an hour, keeping the prices the same, keeping operations the same, operating hours and the number of employees. Vice President Kamala Harris has also taken the same stance on taxing tips. On Saturday, she promised to endorse policies benefiting working families. It is my promise to everyone here, when I am president, we will continue our fight for the working families, including raising the minimum wage and eliminating taxes for service and, how'd she say it? Not hospitality, hospitality workers. Again, this is like 45 days after Trump started talking about it. Now, and like I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again today, I think there should be an upper limit on how many tips can be not taxed. I really do. As I said, not all servers make this. Yes, I understand that. But that's why we have a graduated tax system. Let the servers who only make maybe $20,000 or $30,000 on tips make that tax free. But anything over that is taxed, and taxed at the rates. We've got servers in tourist areas who easily make between $60,000 to $100,000 a year just in tips. Not a lot. I fully understand that. But we don't have a lot of millionaires either. We don't have a lot of billionaires either. We don't have a lot of people making $250,000 a year. We don't have a lot of people making $100,000 a year as individuals. The average income in the United States for an individual, I believe, is around $45,000 a year. So yeah, let's make the first $30,000 in tips non-taxed. I've got no problem with that. Our housekeepers at the hotel I work at, they may get $25 or $30 a week in tips during the height of the season. Maybe $25 or $30 a week. No, that's, yeah, that does add up, but no, that shouldn't be taxed. I mean, I've had people tip me $5 or $10 when I'm working at the front desk. But that happens like once a year, maybe twice a year during the height of the season. But that's it. It don't happen. It don't happen often. It's a very rare occasion. Why should, if I get a $30 tip, why should I have to claim that on my taxes? But like I said, that's why we have a graduated tax system. And people that make below a certain amount don't pay taxes on it. People that make above a certain amount pay taxes. Yeah, Josh, that's true. Oh yeah, our debt season has already started there, Raman. We won't not until we've got there's some major events that happen in October and November that will bring people in, but not like it used to. I'm telling you, this economy, hotels and restaurants, they're just not making the money that they did 5 years ago. They're just not making it. It's not there. Another part of the problem was oversaturation. When the hospitality industry was booming and hotels were constantly getting at 85% filled, other hotels got built, bigger hotels got built. And now everybody's hurting because there's too many hotels, too many rooms, and not enough people coming in. So prices, the other night I tried to sell a rated room, an $85 rated room. I tried to sell it for $65 plus tax, and the people turned it down, saying that was too much money. I mean, I knocked $20 off the price of the room. $23. I knocked $23 off the price of the room, and people still walked away from it. I watch these, Silvar, I watch these cop videos, and they ask for the Social Security numbers. And the number of people that give up their Social Security number is unbelievable. I would absolutely refuse to give up my Social Security number. Let's see here. I need to look at my driver's license. My Florida driver's license does not contain my Social Security number. Therefore, I would not give it up. In the state of Florida, the only information you're required to give to a cop is the same information that's on your driver's license. That's it. And that is the only information I would give up to a cop, is the information on my driver's license. All right, but let's come back here to it. All right. I'm going to get down here to the last line on this. Get past it. All right. Now remember this here. The Biden administration rolled out a voluntary tip reporting system last year for industry workers to streamline tax compliance on tips. The plan was criticized by tax experts as a crackdown on waitresses' tips after the IRS hired 87,000 new agents to comply with the new laws. So they hired, remember that, 87,000 new IRS agents to ensure that Miss Judy down at your local coffee shop paid taxes on all her tips. And now they're coming out and saying, no, we shouldn't be taxing these tips. Are they going to fire these 87,000 new agents? Oh, okay, Josh. Did you post a link to it? Go ahead and post up a link. But yeah, they wanted to make certain that Aunt Judy or Miss Judy down there at the local coffee shop paid her taxes on her tips. So they passed new regulations and new requirements. And see, this is where that Chevron ruling becomes so damn important. The IRS made new law on their own. Congress had nothing to do with it. Congress did not have a vote on this new law. by the IRS. Yes, I know it's actually a regulation, but if you don't obey it, you still go to jail. And anytime you have anytime that by not obeying something, you're going to go to jail or be heavily fined. In my opinion, that's a law. Congress didn't pass, it was not voted on by Congress, it was not debated by Congress, it was not signed, it was not passed by both houses of the Congress, it was not signed into a law by the president. But the IRS, under the old Chevron deference rulings, had the authority to do it. This is the stuff that needs to be brought back up before the courts and ruled as unconstitutional as these rules and regulations, which have the effect of laws, need to be removed from the books. And if they are so important to the country, then let them be debated on and voted on in Congress and signed by the president. Actually, so far that's not exactly true. If you are considered, if there is a reasonable, articulable suspicion, they can do a Terry frisk. They can't go in your pockets. They can only pat you down to see if you have a weapon. But they can't go into your pockets. Now, does that get overused in very gray and shady reasonings and such? Yes, it does. That's why I think the Terry Frisk ruling needs to be overturned. Boy, this train's just jumping all over the place here this morning. It's jumping from track to track faster than I can think about it. Okay, Josh, let's see here. Let me let me open that link so that I make sure that I watch that here later on. "30-minute video, cool beans." Okay, guys, if you're not subbed to Josh's channel there's a chance for you to sub to it. I mean, he's got how many? He's got wow, you've got 357 subs there. You got more subs than I do there, Josh. I'm almost, you know, so far I am tempted to agree with you. I understand the reasoning behind it. Okay. It's just that, like, anytime you give somebody an inch, they're going to take a mile. And the courts have allowed the cops to really stretch this to the point that if you get pulled over, or if the cops talk to you for more than 2 minutes, they automatically want to frisk you. They automatically, it's like cops seem to be trained. The first words out of their mouth is, "Let me see your ID." Give me your driver's license. Even if you're just walking down the street, the first words out of their mouth is, I want your ID. And the first words out of most of our mouths should be not only no, but hell no. That's what it should be. And this is one area that I strongly disagree with Trump on. He wants to increase the immunities for the police. I strongly disagree with him. I believe that qualified immunity needs to be removed from the police. Qualified immunity needs to be removed from the district attorneys. Qualified immunity needs to be removed from the judges. That's where qualified immunity started from, was judges. You and I, all right, let me get this off the screen here. Since we're going to go there, Silvar. You and I have no protections under the law for not knowing what the law is. That old adage, ignorance is no excuse. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. You and I can be arrested for breaking a law that we didn't know existed. And we can be tried, convicted, and pay fines or go to jail or go to prison. But a cop who is supposed to be enforcing the law can be held innocent because, well, he didn't know that that was the law. Or the courts have never made a ruling on this in this area, in this district. He should have, yeah, we know he violated your civil rights. We know he violated this law, but he didn't know, so therefore he can't be held liable. And my answer to that is nonsense. We pay them to enforce the laws. Therefore, they should know what the laws are that they're attempting to enforce. Well, he thought, he felt. I don't care what he thought. I don't care what he felt. Was he enforcing the law or was he breaking the law? If he was breaking the law, hold him accountable. No, Tyre, because if you use that, was it within the bounds of their duty? All right, then throat punching or punching a man in the face that's handcuffed would be, they'd be getting qualified immunity for, because it's within their duty. Absolutely not. Tripping a man who's handcuffed and knocking him to the ground, and he's got his hands cuffed behind his back. Well, I thought he was trying to escape. No, that don't fly. That's why I'm saying cops should never have immunity. Cops have got immunity from damaging your house or your car. If they're having a shootout with your neighbor. or somebody across the street and they decide to use your car as a barricade or a cover, and your car gets scratched up or it gets bullet holes in it, the city and the cops, that's not on them. They don't have to pay for repairs. They're not held liable for that. So, yes, they can damage your property. They can destroy your property. And you're just an innocent bystander, and they're not held liable for it. Now, to my mind, if they decide to use your car as cover, that's a governmental taking under eminent domain, and you have to be made whole. No, the cops used your car as a shield. Exactly, Silvar. If it's within the scope of their duty, they are still to be held liable for their actions. They start doing the spray and pray method of firing their firearms, and an innocent person gets shot. You and I can't do that. We're held liable for every bullet that comes out of the barrel of our gun, but a cop isn't. One Clown Shoe, good morning. Welcome to this derailed railroad track that we're on. This derailed train. And let me get this up front. I'm not a cop hater. I grew up in a family of cops. My father was one. 3 uncles were. One was the chief of detectives. One was a street cop. One was the chief of police. I've got a cousin that was a cop until he retired. He retired out as a sergeant, I believe. He was a street cop. So I got asked to become a cop when I retired out of the military. And I wisely turned it down, just like I wisely turned down going to work in the local jail as a CO. Because my temperament at that time would not allow me to be a good CO. I had too much of a temper. This stream, I tried to come up with topics. Like I've got 6 more tabs here for topics to discuss. We can discuss today. But sometimes chat, will take us over on a side trail. And we'll go down it for a little while. And then we'll eventually get back to what I've got lined up. If the cop's bullet killed that child, that cop needs to be held liable. Okay? And that split second decision should not have been made if that bullet killed that baby. But I don't know enough about that case, but okay. What do we got here? Okay, let me close that tab because we've already talked about it. California. We talked about California earlier, and we all know how lenient they are on criminals. $950 is anything under $950 for shoplifting is okay. Don't call the cops. They threatened Target. Target kept calling them for shoplifters. They were going to take legal action against Target. So, California lawmakers on Monday were largely united. And remember, these are mostly Democrats. California's lawmakers is mostly Democrats. There are a smattering of Republicans, but they're largely Democrats. And their support of a collection of bills meant to target the stealing and reselling of merchandise from stores throughout the state. The passage of 10 bills comes after Democrats unsuccessfully tried to derail a measure on the November ballot that aims to stiffen penalties for theft and drug crimes. Prop 36 would allow people convicted of crimes such as shoplifting, burglary, and carjacking to be charged with a felony if it passes. It would also generally require sentences for selling certain drugs, including fentanyl, to be lengthened based upon the amount sold and require them to be served in prison. The people of California are tired. They're sick and tired of it. Why they keep voting for the Democrats is a good question. Why they keep voting for the people that make these rules that they don't like is a good question. Spittle. Good morning, Spittle. How you doing today? That would roll back changes made by California voters a decade ago. The measure called Proposition 47, this is from a decade ago, reduced some theft and drug crimes from felonies to misdemeanors. It was a bill as an effort to save the state hundreds of millions of dollars a year in corrections-related costs. But it's been the target of criticism by Republicans and some Democrats. The fight over how to best combat retail theft comes as reports of shoplifting and people burglarizing businesses has risen sharply in the state, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic. Last year, the number of shoplifting incidents documented by the police surged 39%. Sacramento County is one of the areas that has seen a major increase in recent years. The bills passed Monday cover an array of issues. One require online marketplaces to have policy prohibiting the sale of stolen items and to alert the police. Another would extend the life of a regional property crimes task force meant to identify problems area with high levels of theft. And the third would allow for stiffer penalties against people accused of stealing from retail stores, which have been convicted of similar crimes in the past. Now, California at one time was infamous for having their 3 strikes law. But when I read this, it made me wonder if they still even utilize it. Yes, Bill, you guys are right. There's been commentary in the past, I remember, splitting California into 2 or even 3 states. I know Northern California at one time tried to separate away. There was a serious effort to split California, part of Northern California away because they were tired of all the crap that was being forced on them by the liberal Democrats in the southern part of the state. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to see. I'm going to see if this Prop 36 is going to pass. Okay, that's going to be fun. And Newsom, let's see, he worked with lawmakers to try to put a measure on the ballot to compete with 36, but abruptly ended that plan ahead of a key deadline in early July. Instead, to campaign for Joe Biden, whose campaign for re-election at that time was falling apart. What do I have here? Oh, yes. Should have brought this one up earlier. But California's been an interesting state. I mean, interesting in a bad way, or some things good, some things bad. And anytime you have in a way, it's sort of like Florida. South Florida is extremely liberal because they're mostly transplants from New York. Oh, was that it? Was that it? The state of Jackson? Was it going to be Jackson State? That sounds right. Well, Silvar, you're in a way you're right. It's you are right there. It is population density. Much like Florida, up here in the northern part of Florida is much more rural than South Florida is. And it is a lot more conservative than South Florida is. The Miami-Dade, Broward County areas. And Silvar, I remember that a graphic of that a few years ago, and at that point, I think you're right, but more currently taking a look, especially with the mass numbers of illegal immigration that's been brought into California, I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make. I really don't know. And see I'll get into my rant on illegal immigration here in a few minutes. Let's see here. Oh, I should have showed this one here earlier. Okay, when I was talking about the tips thing. Back in June, when Trump was talking his CBS News, former President Trump's vow to stop taxing tips would cost the federal government up to $250 billion over 10 years. That was their headline. June 17th. Okay. Now, August the 12th, what they put out. Vice President Kamala Harris is rolling out a new policy position saying she'll fight to end taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers. Nothing negative there, nothing about it possibly costing the federal government $250 billion over 10 years. It's a positive post. Nothing that, again, same news organization, the same policy, just two different people saying it. And one gets a negative post from CBS, and the other one gets a positive. And since I was talking about, and we'll jump back over the presidential election here, this is something I did not know happened. Back during the pandemic in 2020, Tim Walz orders police to enforce curfew by shooting residents on their porches with paintballs. Breaking news, Twin Cities now under curfew until 6 a.m. All right.
And if you pay attention, you'll hear the police say, get in the house. You'll hear several commands, and then you'll hear light them up. And then that's when you get the fire. We'll play it again.
This is.
Get in your house now! Let's go! Light them up! Go inside now! Get in the house!
Get in.
And if you
Wow. So not only were you not allowed under Tim Walz, were you not allowed to be out? You couldn't be out of on your front porch. Not only could you not be at your neighbors, at the grocery store, at the movie theater, or any place else, you couldn't even be sitting on your front porch or else you got shot. Hey, Eagle. Yeah, I had not heard about it until yesterday when I saw this post. That is who Kamala picked. Not only is the guy a disgrace to the uniform that he once wore, capably, not exemplary, but capably, because he was a capable leader. He wasn't an exemplary leader. Remember, we discussed that on his letter yesterday. That he was a capable leader. He capably led his organization. And that is not a good comment on a official performance report. Oh, yeah, he absolutely destroyed his whole career with this assumption of a rank that he never held. But anyway, he ordered the police to shoot people sitting on their front porches with paintballs. Unfriggin' believable. This should have made national news. Not just local news, but this should have made national news. What do I got here? That one clown shoot. I warned you that this train here, it doesn't have a steady track. It's all over the place. Yeah, exactly, Silvar. Forget my evil past. Okay. Can I get to the title of this without having these ads in my way? No. So let me just get down to the actual article. Now I'll share this article now. Okay, Washington. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has been investigating since June suspected Iranian attempts to hack people linked to both the Trump and the Biden-Harris campaigns. At least 3 staffers from the Biden-Harris campaign were targeted with so-called spear phishing emails intended to trick recipients into clicking on seamlessly legitimate links or files in a bid to gain access to the internal communications. Adding that the attempts took place before Biden stepped aside. The hacking attempts were apparently unsuccessful. All right, we'll stop here for a second. I get emails on a semi-regular basis to both my personal email address and this email address, my original shroom@gmail.com. Before I open any emails, I look to see where they're from. Then I look at the truncate title. And then whether or not they have any attachments. If there are attachments and I do not recognize the email, I'll put my mouse over the sender's name and I'll look at the email address. And 9 times out of 10, if it's, it'll say like out of Africa or you gone something or another at gmail.com, I just automatically delete that email. Oh, I just realized Silvar doesn't have a wrench. They deserve a wrench. Biscuits and gravy. Yeah. I love biscuits and gravy. In fact, I've got some gravy sitting in the freezer. All I need to do is thaw out. And I don't care what organization you work for, we've got a standard ruling at the hotel that the only people allowed to open emails is the front desk manager, the general manager, the assistant general manager, and myself. We're the only ones allowed to open emails. And if an email comes in and none of us are there, oh well. Exactly. I mean, hey, Digi, welcome. You have missed this train going all over the place this morning. It's gone places I didn't expect it to go today. But now I can see a campaign office getting inundated with emails and people just opening them up. And people sending links to them for stuff that they think might be important for that campaign to know about, yada, yada, yada. But I'm sure, I hope that these campaigns, both campaigns, anybody who's running a campaign, I hope they have policies in place. And any computers that their people are using have got the software protections on them to prevent Trojans and other malicious software from being loaded. Hey, I'm just repeating what Eagle said. The alleged efforts by Iran to hack the Democrats, and in addition to former President Trump's campaign, added to a series of rapid developments, appeared to expose a seemingly widespread and determined effort by the U.S. adversary to play a major role in disrupting the November election. On Monday, the FBI said in a statement it was investigating an apparently successful cyber attack that purloined internal documents from the Trump campaign that disclosed to reporters on Saturday and blamed on Iran. Previously, the FBI said it was only aware of media reporting about the alleged hack. I meant to bring up about those documents that were sent to, I believe they were sent to CBS. And never got, and it just, anyway. The FBI's announcement on Monday was the first time the U.S. government has launched a probe into it, and mounting fears of Tehran's desire to interfere with the election and harm Trump's election for re-election. Now, why would Tehran be afraid of having Trump as president and want Harris, Kamala, as president? I wonder why would a foreign country that doesn't like the U.S., that's, their slogan is death to America. I wonder why they would want Kamala as president. And by the way, I heard something this weekend that made me laugh. A person said, and they said this out loud, that the United States should never elect a person to the office of the presidency whose nickname is Camel Toe. I absolutely had to laugh at that. I mean, the last president really to have a nickname that, Obama had Obama. Yeah. But people calling G.W. Bush shrub. Okay, that was truly a good play on words and denigrating at the same time. But having a president whose nickname is Camel Toe, that's taking it up a step. Ah, Iran has succeeded in hacking communications belonging to Roger Stone, and his compromised accounts used as targeted to Trump campaign officials with malicious email. And Stone's an old man, so I can understand why they tried to hit him up. I just wish I could afford the security on my computer that I'd really want to have. So anyway, Iran isn't just hoping to spread chaos, they said, but aiming to harm Trump's candidacy, as it haphazardly sought to do so 4 years ago. Iran is also attempting to directly engage Americans in its influence operations and need to provide funding to support Gaza protests on college campuses, while relying on vast webs of online personas and propaganda mills to spread disinformation. Oh, wow. It's amazing how we never heard during those protests on the college campuses that the funding for those is coming from Iran. That was never released to the American public. Oh. On Saturday, the Trump campaign said had been hacked by foreign sources hostile to the United States. An anonymous source that called itself Robert had shared apparently stolen internal campaign files with reporters at several media organizations hoping to see the material published. The White House was unaware of the hack and leak campaign, learning it from Political Saturday report that detailed the breach. Wow. Why didn't Ray or the Supreme Court wannabe brief Biden and Harris on this? Why weren't they briefed? Why was it kept a secret from them until it got released through news media? The White House isn't always immediately informed when intelligence or law enforcement investigations into such matters begin. You would think that'd be part of their daily brief. You know, every morning, the president and sometimes the vice president are given a brief on security matters. Shouldn't this be part of that morning briefing? You would think so. I would think so. You know, is it something that you run into the Oval Office, President, I got to tell you about this? No. But is it something that should be brought up at a scheduled briefing about security? Did Obama change that spittle? I was not aware of that. I would bet dollars to donuts that Trump would tell his morning briefers he wants that kind of stuff brought to his attention so that he knows about it. Oh, for the 7 Days to Die fans, you need to watch Jawoodle's video he just posted. He said he just broke the game for zombies using an automatic door. I will have to watch that video when I'm done with this stream here. But anyway, so let me go ahead and close this tab. We've discussed that to death. I can close that tab. We've already discussed it. Here we go. Kamala says that she was, and the Democrats and the Kamala and her campaign, I was not the border czar. I was not the border czar. Let's see, I want to make. No, I did repost that. Okay, good. Because I want to keep that Waltz thing reposted. Vice President Kamala Harris on X at POTUS asked me to lead our diplomatic work with Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras to address the situation at the southern border. Oh, now that wouldn't surprise me, Silvar. Yeah, I'm going to have to. He separated the two briefing teams into twice a week instead of the morning brief. What the hell? Okay, learn something new every day. Thanks for informing me that, Spittle. Did Trump keep it that way? I wonder if Trump kept it that way or if he changed it back to the mornings, to a daily briefing. I mean, it should be a daily briefing. Security crap happens all the time. Trump had daily briefs. Okay. Thank you. So right there in her own tweet, she said that she was to address the situation at the southern border. See, that's what I love about you guys. You know things that I don't know, and you educate me on them. But you don't make me feel stupid. You don't, you're not calling me idiot or why didn't you know that or other stuff. I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. I do appreciate you guys. I really do. Let's see here. I can close that tab too. And speaking of the Iranian paid for protests at the different colleges. No, I don't want that. I want this. Thank you much. Former Cornell student sentenced to nearly 2 years for threatening to kill members of the university's Jewish community. This young man right here, Patrick Day, reached a plea deal earlier in which he admitted to publishing the threatening post. I see his glasses sit on his face as crooked as mine do on mine. He's bent the crap out of his frames, and he has a hard time seeing now because his eye isn't centered on his frame, on his lens. A former Cornell University student was sentenced to nearly 2 years for threatening to kill members of the Jewish population. The former student was sentenced to 21 months, followed by 3 years of supervised release. In April, he pled guilty to one count of making a threat and using interstate communication after reaching a plea deal with federal prosecutors. Day admitted he published posts threatening to kill and injure Jewish people and to shoot up Cornell's Kosher Dining Hall, which is next to the school's Center for Jewish Living. His defense attorney, Lisa Peebles, says she plans to appeal the sentence because she believes the judge inappropriately applied sentencing enhancements. He threatened to kill people. He threatened to shoot up a dining facility. He only got 21 months in prison. And you think that's too much time? You think that sentence is wrong? What? You have got to be absolutely kidding me. That was a hate crime. Under current laws, that was a hate crime. He got off light. We're obviously disappointed because we're seeking a sentence of time served since he's got close to 10 months in already. Hey, that's his problem. He shouldn't have made threats to kill people based on their race. The threats emerged amid a reported spike in anti-Semitic incidents as the war between Israel and Palestine militant group Hamas raged in the Middle East. The Anti-Defamation League said anti-Semitic incidents in the United States increased nearly 400%. Day's legal team claimed in court filings he was pro-Israel, and the posts were a misguided attempt to cultivate support for the country. He believed wrongly that the post would prompt a blowback against what he perceived as anti-Israel media coverage and pro-Hamas settlement on the campus. He had begun taking medication for depression disorder during the summer of 2023 and complained it made him feel worse. He also was recently diagnosed with autism. Did it say how old this kid was? No, it wasn't. But he's a grown adult. If he was in college, he was at least 18 years of age. He is a grown adult. No. 21 months is light. 3 years supervised probation is light. Before imposing sentence, the court found that it was a hate crime. Yes, because he targeted Jewish students and substantially disrupted the university's core function of educating. Do you think there would be cries of reducing a sentence if this had been a white man targeting black students or targeting Hispanic students? There'd be cries that 21 months wasn't long enough. But he's Asian extract. So, he can't be racist. He can't commit a hate crime. This is nuts. This is why I've said it before and I'll say it again. There should be no such thing as a hate crime. There should be no such thing. Because all crimes are based on hate. All crimes are based on hate. Road rage is based on hate. All right. Retail theft is based on hate. Going up and punching somebody is based on hate. You don't steal from a store that you like. You don't go down to your corner store that you know the owner and you know the people who work there. You're on first name basis with them. You don't go down there and steal from them because you like them. But you go into your local Target or Walmart, well, you really don't like the company. You sort of hate them because they're big and faceless and, you don't know the people that are there. So you steal from them. You don't feel bad stealing from that big ass company. They can afford because they charge you too much. The owners of the company, you don't know them. Besides that, they're really super rich, and you really hate rich people. So all crime, really, when you get down to it, is based on hate. Because you don't commit crimes against people you love. So there should be no such thing as a hate crime. That hate crime enhancement, that's used politically. But anyhow, we'll get off of that. I mean, it is what it is. Okay. Let's see. I had something funny I thought I wanted to show you guys this morning. Now, all right. I'm just going to say this here. All right. This is something we all knew. Biden admits that it was Pelosi that convinced him not to run. That she bit him, that snake Pelosi bit him in the back and convinced him not to run for office. A number of my Democratic colleagues in the House and Senate thought that I was going to hurt them in the races. And I was concerned that if I stayed in the race, I would be the topic. People wouldn't vote for the down the line ticket. They feel that Kamala can get more of a down line ticket for them than what Biden could get for them. Okay, well, really, that is about all I got for today. Because anything else, the other stuff I've got would be 20, 30, 40 minutes. And as usual, I've got a full agenda today. I tell you, I'm busier since I've gone to only actually working 2 days a week than I was when I was working 5 and 6 days a week. Yeah, you're probably right about that. But she's a damn snake. I tell you, let's see. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I want to make Thursday's stream. I want to make a Thursday stream an open stream. Okay, guys? I'm going to invite everybody onto the stream Thursday. Unless something drastic happens between now and then. I'm just going to make it an open stream. Anybody and everybody can pop in on Thursday. Since we are getting in this funny season, and elections are coming up on less than 2 months away, I've got a question, and I'm willing to, I want to hear all sides to this. All right. Y'all have heard my position, but I really want to hear yours on term limits for your House and Senate representatives, particularly the people in the House. Should members of the House of Representatives, because these are the people that we elect to represent us per the Constitution. Remember, the Senate was supposed to be selected by the states, and the Senate was supposed to represent the states. The House was supposed to represent us, the people. That's why it's called the House of Representatives. So should you be restricted from voting for somebody to represent you simply because they've already served 1, 2, or 3 terms in office? Okay. Let's make that a goal for Thursday's stream. At least the opening part of it. So I think we can have some fun with that. Okay. Well, let's try to have some fun with that on Thursday. All right. But other than that, I want to thank everybody for coming out. And Spittle and Silvar, I really appreciate y'all doing some digging on this other information for me. Stuff I didn't know. I really appreciate that. And who was it? Undead Clown? I'm sorry, I don't really, I'm not 100% certain on what your name was. I hope you're One Clown Shoe. Okay. I hope you've enjoyed this stream. As I said, this is the first time I can remember you being here. Thank you for popping in at least. I'm so far. I'm with you about the Senate being picked by the state themselves. I'm with you on that. And let the state determine. Do they want the governor to pick the person, or do they want their legislative body to pick their representative, or have a combination where their legislative body and their governor jointly decide. much like the governor picks one and then the legislative body holds a vote on whether or not they want to let that person do. Much like a cat, they do in Congress for judgeships and such. But anyway, want to thank y'all. Like I said, want to thank y'all for showing up, having a good, this was a good stream. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the interactions with the chat. Y'all are always fun. And tomorrow, if there's a stream, it'll be a surprise stream because I don't plan on having one tomorrow. Because I get home from work at 7:00 in the morning. And I'd be one tired puppy after being up all night. So anyway, everyone have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. Try to stay out of trouble. And as always, be with the ones you love and love the ones that you're with. Have a good day. Later.